welcome to the WisMissus Podcast, reading, writing, and roaming around Wisconsin, the Midwest, and beyond. I'm Valerie Biel, and I'm here with...
I'm TK Sheffield, and I write stories for readers to laugh and escape.
And I must say, yes, you definitely do write books that make people laugh and escape, and recently launched your third book in that series.
Yes.
And I am fresh off my book launch for a middle grade novel and for a mystery suspense novel. The first time I've tried my hand at that.
Congratulations.
Well, and congratulations to you too. And we've had some fun. So everybody that's joining us, we've been at events together a lot lately.
Yes.
The last podcast we recorded together at Wisconsin Writers Association conference in sort of mid-October. And then we were at Literatus. Is that how you say that?
Literatus and Company in Watertown. Yes.
Yep. And that's a beautiful gem of a bookstore cafe in Watertown. We did an event there. And then also one at Daydream Believers just this past Friday in the beautiful little town of Lake Mills. And it's also just the most charming store. They also have a cafe.
Yes.
And you had a fun little video that I think you put out like on TikTok or maybe Instagram too about that store. Seriously, I am going to go back to both those stores and do Christmas shopping.
Yes.
Yeah. But go ahead. Sorry.
So when we do our favorite things, this is
Yeah.
a little bit of a promotion for our next podcast. Tune in for that one when we do favorite things. And most likely it will include that suggestion is to go shop at your local favorite indie and get a cup of coffee and enjoy the moment.
Yes. And these folks are doing such good things for their community by starting up these gems of stores that are an asset to their downtown area. And there's, both of those communities have very robust downtowns with interesting things and restaurants and stores. I always feel bad when downtowns sort of languish, but I think there's sort of a nice revival, particularly in Watertown and in Lake Mills. And there's, plenty of other little towns that do this too, but those are just the ones that, we've been in lately. And I need to say thank you to you because you organized those two events. And you just brought me along as a nice guest, but you organized it with those bookstore owners and stuff. So thank you for doing that. That was a big help.
You are more than welcome. And I'm always thrilled to work with you. You're just a delightful person. And so thank you for coming along.
Well, and it's nice to have a partner at these events. So, that's sort of a tip too. We're going to talk today about the best things about our book launches, or the most maybe I guess maybe the best things we did that helped our book launches, and maybe some glitches too. We're just going to kind of do some listing of things today. But that's one thing, is to have somebody with you at these events. It's really nice. You don't always get a lot of people at these events, and it's just good to have a companion. And we catch up then too. But it's awfully fun to not be flying solo at these places. So
right. So that's our topic for today, which is things to make your launch successful, correct?
Yes. Yeah, things to make your launch successful. And I'm going to talk to, in particular, the things that I'm glad I did. I've got 5 things on that list. Then I have a few things that I want to be honest about that were difficult.
Great.
Not that all of this isn't hard work, but some things run very simply and easily without glitches. And then there's the days that don't, where you just go like this with the laptop. You go, shut the laptop. We're going to go do something else for a little while.
We're going to go cut the grass. Yes, I do that a lot. My husband knows when I'm out cutting the grass after a long day at the computer, he's like, just leave her alone for a couple hours. She's fine. Just leave her alone.
Something therapeutic about yard work.
Yes.
I was doing a lot of weed pulling at different times where I'd be like, yeah, I'm not making any progress here. I'm going to go do something that actually has that feeling of return and success.
Yes.
Weeding a flower bed, you feel pretty darn good about that at the end of the
day. Feel pretty darn good. And then don't feel guilty if you do that. Walk away from your keyboard and go do that. Because remember, Agatha Christie, there's no better time to plot a novel than when you're doing the dishes or pulling weeds or cutting the grass or taking a nice long walk.
Yes. And actually, that's always advice that I've given. I'm sure you've given it when you've done talks and stuff too, that there are times you just have to, you say you're having an issue with your plotting or whatever, just get yourself away out into nature, do something different. Yeah.
Do something different.
And physical.
Yes. And, to the point of launching a novel, if for those of you starting the journey, just remember this. If you don't remember anything from this podcast at all, Remember the wise words of Eleanor Roosevelt, do one thing every day that scares you.
Ooh, I
So
love
when you're out there launching and you're trying to connect and you're trying to talk to indie bookshops and you're trying to get people to arrive and show up and support your book, remember you're doing that thing that scares you.
yes.
So
And
do it.
yes, and okay, so I'm going to jump in then with one on that theme. I'm going to jump in with one of the things that worked well for me for the most part, and that was asking other authors for their blurbs or endorsements.
Right.
And I think sometimes we're scared to ask for that favor. We know how busy everyone is, but I had such a wonderful response. And I know some of those folks are going to be watching this. So thank you, thank you, thank you for doing that. You're one of those folks. You're one of the people who's done that for me. And it's just so important to have those endorsements early on. And you circle back, and then those people can post the reviews once the book is out, like on Amazon or before the book is out over on BookBub or Goodreads.
Right.
So you can't be scared to ask. Generally, the people you already know, and that should be a fairly easy ask, but sometimes we're shy and we don't want to do it. But to ask some of the bigger name people for endorsements. And I did that, and I had varying success rates. I had some that never even answered the email. They didn't even acknowledge the email, and that's fine. They're busy. They might not even be looking at their own emails. Someone else may be doing it. I had an endorsement request from Hank Philippi Ryan that I asked her, and then I followed up with her at VoucherCon because I could see her in person. And she isn't promising, that she'll do a review, but she asked me to send the book. But she did give me a guest slot on the Jungle Red Writers blog. So
Great.
sometimes you get something in return you didn't anticipate that's also very helpful to your journey.
There you
So,
go. So you're doing that thing that scares you. You're approaching big name authors who most likely are going to say no, but you got the one thing that was a yes. It's all good. I think that's an overwhelmingly positive, endeavor on that one. So to that point, I add, connect with someone who knows what they're doing, like a publicist like you.
Well, and there's days I really do know what I'm doing about a particular thing. And then there's days I'm going, oh, this has changed. I've got to learn this. Right. So,
Yes.
But yes, you have
So
to
connect with someone, like a publicist like you, and you're worth every penny. Let me say that.
Oh,
but
thank you.
if you are on a budget, if you have a very limited budget, let me recommend Wisconsin Writers Association. We have a wonderful marketing group that meets, I think, the third Wednesday of every month. Our dues are only $35 a year, and you get access to things like that. On our website, we have resources. You can go there for free and look at the resources and connect with the groups around you. There's a whole, I think it's a 5-page list if you were to print it out now.
So
list of writing groups. So if
yes.
you can hire a publicist, yes, which is going to cost money. It's worth every penny as far as I'm concerned. But if you are on the other side of the spectrum and you have a very limited budget, you have groups you can reach out to and consider that.
Yep. And then I'm going to do a shameless plug for my own blog over on Substack because it's focused mostly on writing resources, and it's free. And we have different series over there on different topics for writing. Some are craft, some are for marketing. I tend to, kind of like gear it more toward, publicity and marketing just because that's the space that I operate in most of the time.
And your Writers Forum once a month newsletter is worth its weight. And all that is just a subscription.
Yeah.
Subscribe to your newsletter and you give a complete roundup of important news of the month.
And if you get sick of me, you can always unsubscribe. So. I hope you don't. I hope you don't. But I mean, like, it's a painless thing. There's no money involved. Although I may do something paid in the future over on Substack that's got more of a class element to it, like coursework. But that's a different topic.
Right. So, and then another thing I said is when you're setting up book events and you're making the phone calls and you're sending the emails and you're asking for the blurbs and you're writing a blog post and you're doing a podcast interview, connect with the moment. Don't worry about tomorrow. Don't worry about the emails you have to answer, because this is your dream. Your dream was to write the novel and get it out there and talk about it. So I think my whole theme of this talk is connection.
I
Connect
think
with the moment, connect with other writers, connect with a publicist or someone who can give you advice about marketing. Connect with that time because it'll go past. It's going to pass regardless. And you need to be in it because you dreamed about it.
that's right. And enjoy it, right? Enjoy, like, the day you get the really beautiful review from someone,
Exactly.
celebrate that. Or, the moment when, we get different people coming up to us at events, right? And you can have such good conversations with readers. These are our people,
Yes.
I was joking when we were at Literatus that I was at like my mothership, I'm at this beautiful bookstore with a coffee,
Yes.
beautiful coffee smell, coming through. But you're right. We rush through life a lot. And this isn't just for the writing world. We rush to the next thing. And we really need to spend more time in the moment and just like really like you did this, pat yourself on the back and
Yep.
enjoy the moment when someone says, oh my gosh, you're the author, how sometimes I don't know if they think we're the booksellers or what we are, wait, you wrote this? And you're like, yeah, yes, I did.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. The people I connected with during my mini book tour from Madison and Mr. Demi and Doug Moe and Mineral Point and the Book Kitchen, Republic of Letters, La Crosse and Pearl Street and
Oh,
Literatus and Isabella and Daydream and Jean. I mean, unbelievably valuable and fun and enriching and delightful.
oh,
So, and Pearl
yeah.
Street Books and Beth, I can't thank them enough. And it made me realize that yes, it's about books and selling books and entertaining readers, but also it's about the people you meet and connecting with them.
Yes, and we have such a wonderful network of independent bookstores in this state. And I mean, I can't speak to other states. We're here in Wisconsin, and these are the people we know best. But I think we're incredibly lucky to
I do
have these
too.
gems of bookstores. I love it. I get so excited about it. It's like, go spend all your money at those bookstores.
Right. It's worth literally reach out to your local store. And you know what? They're so busy. I have we're going to go through some, not so positives too. I have a story for that, but connect with your local store, support them. Don't think it's all about you because they have authors coming in every day,
Oh,
every
yeah,
day.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I have advice
Don't be a
about approaching
diva.
them.
Don't be a diva.
Right.
I mean, we're diva-esque, but we're not like that in behavior.
Yes, I wear sequins, but I'm not Zsa Zsa Gabor or Lisa Douglas.
There's my
Um,
there's my coffee, darling.
yes. It's so funny because I had a Green Acres moment the other day. I was leaving for the book launch and I was wearing sequins and my husband walks in, my dear sweet husband walks in, and I think he was gonna go start the tractor outside. And he's
It's a
wearing
Green
all
Acres
Duluth
moment.
trading from head to toe, and I think he's probably carrying probably a pitchfork. And I said, honey, it's our Lisa and Oliver Douglas moment. Let's take a picture. And he just
Okay,
laughed and walked away.
so I wonder what age group the knowledge of Green Acres cuts off.
I
Like,
know.
so I'll be curious. So I'm going to put a link to Green Acres in the show notes. So people, if
Yes.
you're under age X, whatever that is,
Yes.
like,
Darling, I love you, but give me
uh,
Park Avenue.
yes, I'm sorry. I mean, I like now the theme song is running through my head. So okay. Oh my gosh, what a fun little memory there. Okay, so so should I go with something else that I thought I was glad I did, or
Yes.
okay, so formatting my own books. Now, this was this is both a positive and a negative. It's a positive because I wanted to learn how to format my own books. And I also didn't want to pay to format my own books. I was trying to save my launch dollars for other things. Like the Kirkus reviews are pretty expensive when you're an indie pub author. There's just things that were in my budget that I was trying to avoid adding to the budget. So I liked it. Not everybody's going to like it. I liked being able to, when my beta readers or my advanced reviewers who are astute and keen eye for typos, right? They came back to me with like, ooh, I saw a couple places where like you're missing your end quotes or whatever. I could go in immediately and fix that and not have to save those up to email someone who's then I'm going to have to pay to do the revisions and what have you. For the most part, it was seamless. So I count that in the good column for the most part. But one of my glitches was with the formatting when I had both for the middle grade, a paperback and a hardcover. And somehow on the download of the PDF, the formatting got mixed and it like did a page number jump. It was just weird. And I nearly didn't catch it before I ordered those hardcovers. I mean, they were ordered, but I was able to cancel the order. Now, $50 times the cost of those hardcovers, and I'm happy to tell you that those are $7 and like 47 cents a piece just to print. That's why hardcover is so hard to make a profit on. I was able to cancel that order. I was like, that would have been like a big $350 plus error if I'd gotten a box of those books. So at least it also, it was something I could fix very quickly myself as well. So that's still
Same thing.
Mostly in the positive.
Same thing. I had an issue with unfortunately, it involved AI because when I'm writing, I don't want the autofill, right? When you're writing a sentence,
Yes.
or adds, talking about a cliche or something in my software, unfortunately, it will finish if you're writing, dumb as a box of rocks, which I wouldn't write, but it would autofill that.
Right,
and I wouldn't say that about anybody. I wouldn't write it. I'm just using it as a cliche. But it autofills it. And so then when I would go back to edit, I would be, wait a minute, where did this come from? So I had to scramble to fix that. Unfortunately, it doesn't know the difference between on and one. It thinks you want to say one and it'll autofill it and you'll keep typing and then you look back and you go, wait a minute, those should be on, not one.
Oh, that's just, I mean, that's like the worst thing. And usually it happens to me with texting where you get it and like, and so I don't know why, but like I type geesh, Geesh, which often comes through on text to people as geese.
Well, and I need to talk to autocorrect about the correct spelling of whoa. I see it all the time. WOAH. It's WHOA. And horses know the difference. And if you're going to misspell it, they won't stop. So if you want to tell a horse ho, it's WHOA.
Oh my gosh. And something like there's a pro and a con, something that should help you to keep you from misspelling words as you type very quickly, because if you're writing fast, this is not helpful. Please do not.
It made it worse for me. It made it worse for me, and I didn't know it till late, and I had to scramble to fix it. Yeah.
So, okay, this is also a pro and a con, or a good thing I did, but also maybe a crazy thing that I did, which was launching 2 books at once. There were economies of scale. For instance, if I'm going to ask my writer friends or for endorsements, and I didn't ask everybody for both books, right? But I also, for many of people, I gave them a choice. I was like, would you like to read one of these and review them in advance for me? Here's the description of the middle grade. Here's the description of the YA mystery suspense. And some people said they do both, and some people picked one. Oh,
here they are.
Thank you.
So
I'm so glad you have them handy, because I'm out of position. I'm in my dining room today, so I don't have my stuff.
Yes, I have them handy. So this is the middle grade, and this is the YA. So keep going.
And so I was just going to say, you don't want to bother people. And this is also back to like, don't be scared to ask people things, but you also don't want to ask people for this kind of favor, like 3 months apart. Like, oh, my middle grade's coming out now. Would you review this too? I mean, everybody's busy. So at least that economy, I think, was very helpful. And in a way, and this, I didn't really think of it at the time. I didn't ask people if they wanted to review. I asked them which one they wanted to review.
Okay.
And like when you're trying to get an answer, I didn't think about it that way, that it was like kind of not giving people a choice. Of course, people said, I don't have time, or catch me in the spring and I'll catch up with reviews. Like right now I'm in the middle of my own thing. Totally understand. 2 at once, a good thing. 2 at once also just, there were certain things that were easy. You log on to Bowker, you get your ISBNs. Why not just do that for 2 books? Getting into the copyright office, that was actually an efficiency there to do that. Even, Library of Congress, you don't have to remind yourself how to do things. It's easy when you're doing 2 at once, but it also was just 2 at once. I mean, there were just extra things that needed to be managed because you're putting out 2 different books that aren't, in the same series. They aren't particularly similar, or they're not similar at all.
I have the same. So I put out 3 in a year.
Poof, I know. Wow, more power to you. Because I think that's even harder
Yeah.
because you're almost never out of marketing mode.
Yeah. So, loved it. Glad I did it. Lived the dream. Went for it. Did something scary every day. But I don't recommend it. I
And
don't. It's a lot, and like you say, you're never out of marketing mode, and it's harder to stop and enjoy because you're always thinking ahead.
yes.
And so same. You just reiterated it. Same thing.
So it's one of those things where you're glad you did it, or having done it, you're fine with it. But when you're in the middle of it, you're like, "Oh, this is a lot of work." So
It's a
for
lot of work, and let me to the point of our top 5 things going with connection. I want to just say this one is connect with your local indie shops, but do it on their terms. So go to their website first, see a lot of them now have a form to fill out, and they're not trying to offend you. It's just that they get approached all the time.
yes,
Fill out your form, have your log line ready to go. Talk about your marketing plan for them.
yes,
Support them, follow them on their social media.
yes.
I have a story. I was at one store and setting up before an event, and a phone call came in, and the gal behind the counter answered, and she was extremely polite to this author. I could tell it was an author because the gal said, "Oh, you have books, tell me about them a little bit." She was being wonderful, and the author was talking and talking and talking, explaining, and this gal was serving coffee, helping me, and on the phone,
Wow. And was patient and kept
and
her
was
time
patient.
and kept, yeah.
Just be aware of what the store owner is dealing with. You're one of many, many authors who's approaching them.
Right.
So, go to their website, fill out their form, be patient, follow up with an email.
Yes. Be the
Just be aware. Don't take it personally if you never hear back from them.
Right,
You know,
right. And then, when they ask, what's your book about? This is not the time for that 15-minute conversation.
no,
It's time for what you teach, which is how to do a log line. My books are about this, this, and this.
and they're
Or
comparable to this.
yes. So they can understand where they're going to live in their store and whether their readership really is going to support that type of book.
Right.
So, smart advice. Yes. So one of my most excellent experiences during this launch, and this mainly only pertains to people who write in the kids market for children's lit, is I connected with an amazing illustrator for Haven. And I knew all along that this book was going to need some art inside. And I was, vacillating between, was it going to have every chapter have art, or are we going to just do like occasional art? This is for middle graders. You don't need art everywhere. It's not a picture book for younger kids. She was a delight to work with. Oh, and that's the scene where my character Mardella is dialing 911. She's hiding under her bed. Look at
Yes,
what
huge moment in the book.
oh my God. When I got that picture, I actually started to get a little weepy. Even now, I'm like, because she brought my characters to life. So I can't imagine what it's like for people who get movie rights or TV rights sold and actually see the story play out on the screen. Because I was just like a little blubbery mess when the first illustrations came in, because she took those like a paragraph of description and she went to town with it. And I just don't have artistic skills. So I'm in awe of that. Anyway, that was one of my highlights. And I feel like she helped me put out an incredibly professional product for this age group. So that's my, I guess that's my number 4. So,
Right.
How about you? What's next for you?
My next for me would be connect. Like I said, my theme is connection. Connect with your work and treat it like a job.
Oh,
Treat it like the job that it is, that you've always wanted. And understand that, while it's your job and it's your priority, maybe people don't come to your signing. Maybe you have few people who respond, but that's okay. Okay. You have to push through that and understand that other people are busy, they have their lives, and that's where you're living in the moment.
right.
Okay. You're going to make the best of no matter what happens, and you're going to connect with the people around you and just do it. So treat it like a job. If you go to your job and you have a rough day, you don't just quit. Right? You push through it and you show up the next.
Might. Sorry, I'm just kidding. No, don't quit. I'm sorry. Keep going. I interrupted you.
No,
Tracey.
no,
I
that's
was trying to
all.
be funny and it's not fair. So keep
No,
going.
No, yeah. No, it's fine.
I mean, we've all had those moments, but I think that is an incredibly smart way to approach this. Where if you have, it's that professional level where things aren't always going to work out. If you keep that in mind, it also takes off some of the top spin on it being all personal,
Right.
right? And
Right.
which can hurt your feelings. And you got to have a tough skin. And if you ever were out on submission with trying to get a traditional publisher or an agent, you probably already have the tough skin, like from this business, but you
Right.
have to remember that. Really, we can't take any of this personally. So unless you've been a jerk out there and someone's told you off, none of this is personal.
No.
It's only like in those rare occasions where something like that might happen. So you just go on about your day and try to make the next day better, right?
Well, and the intimate book events to me, the ones where you've got a few people and you can sit and chat and enjoy, I learned so much more about the writers around me.
Hmm.
It was amazing because you don't go to book events just to talk about you and your books, right? Yes, I mean,
Oh.
yes, you want to share that. And if people have questions, you want to answer those. But at the same time, hearing other people's journeys also, you learn as an author. George Plimpton said authors first should be observers, right? You
Mhm.
should look around you and observe and absorb what other people are saying and doing because you never know. You never know how you can be inspired.
Well, and I think too, so many authors like just like what do you like? What do they like to read? Or
Right,
process wise, like do you plot out your story or do you just dive in or like, oh, I read your last book. I loved it. So they're at one of our events, but we're telling this author, oh,
right.
we loved your book. Like we just so much. And they just everybody lights up. Everybody needs to be seen. And that's reciprocal, right?
Right,
So
right,
if you're, to be a good conversationalist, to ask those questions. Also, as writers, we're a darn curious, bunch of folks. I
right.
do want to know what other people are reading. I want to know the best book you read this year. I want to read
Ex-
that book, you know.
exactly. Exactly.
So, sort of on that note, too, I'm going to segue into my number 5, which is having a physical and actual launch party, like not an online launch party. I shouldn't say physical, but
Yes.
like an in-person launch party. I debated about this and I only had the one way back like a decade ago when my first book came out, and I thought, darn it all, I want to have some fun with this, and this is also being in the moment and celebrating this, and I also really really love Halloween, and I was like, huh, how about I put them out on Halloween? Wait,
Yep.
Halloween's a Thursday. That means like most trick-or-treating is going to take place on the weekends. Not every community does it right on that night. And I thought, I bet I could get a pretty good crowd if I made this just really fun, like
Yep.
celebrate the holiday, but also let's celebrate some books. And you were there as dressed as Cher.
Yes.
Thank you
I
so
was, well,
much.
Cher was there. I wasn't there.
Oh,
Cher
you
was
weren't there. I'm sorry. Cher was there. And it was fun. I had a fun night with about, I want 30, 35 people,
yeah.
which is wonderful, but it's my hometown, right? So family is there and friends. And it was like a mix of my whole world, like my books and beer crowd, my writer friends were there. There were people there dressed as writers. I knew exactly what they were when they came in. That was a writer named Meadow and our friend, a writer, Kristen Oakley, that we both know. And I was like, I know who you guys are. You're writers.
It was
Basically,
very fun. And I
it was
agree
fun.
100%. You had a wonderful event and it was so fun and just, food, fun, laughter, costumes, and books. What else do you need besides beer?
Yes. And that was, onto your theme of connection and giving back. Like,
Yeah.
I paid for like the pizzas and stuff that night. And it was just like, I want to celebrate, our love of reading, with all these folks. And a lot of people there were authors too. So that
Yeah.
was even more special. So there's a little bit of a negative to the timing of this too, which is I decided, gosh, I think it was May, might have been May, maybe April, when I said, oh, okay, I'm done with this. If people remember kind of hanging around with me during the whole like agent search thing for the mystery suspense, I was kind of thinking maybe I could try to get an agent with that book, and it didn't pan out. That sort of, I think I finished sort of the 6-month process on that in like March. So then I kind of waited and was trying to decide. I sent a few things, feelers out to some publishers that you don't need agents for. And I finally just got kind of fed up with the traditional publishing world and the waiting, because, like my sign says in my office. I'm not getting any younger here. And
Right.
I decided just to go for it. So wait, it was May. So let's count May, all of May, June, July, August, September, and then October, because it was October 31st. So a 6-month launch process is pretty much your minimum if you're going to try to get reviews different places that we kind of require, like the bigger reviewers that require you to have your stuff in advance, like 5-6 months. So it just, I know what I'm doing for my clients, but then to do it for myself it was harder just because, you become that perfectionist that you're stopping and starting and going, wait, like I need to make this perfect and, whatever. So there were a lot of like moments where I was feeling like I need to be nicer to my clients. Because I'm very much, I'm like a tough love kind of like, here's your list. I'll help you with these things. Here are the other things, I'm thinking, oh yeah, this is harder when it's your own book because it's your babies and you want to make it perfect. But I was able to do it, but I also had other things I had to do during that time frame. Like my website was out of date. I needed a new website, like platform. There were other things that made the workload heavier. But one thing that did work out really well, back to reviews, was that, I tried those bigger reviews like School Library Journal, and they did review Haven, and they gave me a decent review for Haven. I had to do that right away, almost immediately upon making that decision that I was going to launch those books on October 31st.
Right. Because I'm looking at 26. I'm looking at February of 26 already. Now that I've learned, to recap what we're talking about in the conversation today, what I've learned with launching the 3 Cozy Mysteries, and next is romantic comedies. And I'm looking at 26. I could go out, the manuscript is ready to go, it needs a final edit. I could have that done and rush and make it, but I've learned, try to do Valentine's 25. Nope. 26.
We complain about the slowness, molasses of the independent or traditional publishing world, but you also don't want to rush when you're doing this independently. You still have to be cognizant of all those things that need to happen in the right order, and then leave space for things to go wrong, because when they do, you need a little time to regroup and fix, if there's an error with something or whatever. Just getting your proof copies and stuff, takes time. Yeah.
Right. Just getting your proof copies. And so to follow your point, my last one is connect with other writers, support their work.
Yes.
And then when you have an event, when you go to an event and you have it in, most of mine, fortunately, are in, this is the Midwest. We have beautiful, quaint, small towns. I go early and I enjoy the moment, and I walk around and I look at other stores and I go through the bookshop, and I try to do a little video beforehand, and I just try to enjoy it, because it's going to go by quickly. You get an hour, maybe you get maybe 2, maybe you get a 4-hour window to chat and visit with other writers while you're selling books too. But literally stop and enjoy it, because you may never get another book event at that store. You may never visit again. You never know.
Well, and I hope all these stores stick around forever, but you don't know. I mean, things close, or they change their theme, or they decide not to do author events anymore. I mean, I don't know, but you're right to do that. And you've gotten compliments. So do not think that does not get noticed, because the store owners, you tag them, you tag the store, you tag the town, whatever, like Lake Mills or Watertown.
I did a little,
whatever.
I did a tour of Lake Mills. I did a tour of Pearl Street Books, and their wonderful street outside the store.
Yes.
Beautiful shops near them. I usually try and go in and buy a book bag or a gift card or something, and just tell them, look, I'm so happy to be associated with you. Thank you so much for all the work you do to support indie authors.
Yes, and it matters. Like, they notice that interaction, and that you've supported them and helped broaden their reach on social media by doing those things. So it's being a good partner and connecting with them in that way too.
Right.
So
it's when you understand it's not just about you.
Yeah, it is.
Yes, you want to sell books, right? Authors want to sell books. Yes, we want to share what we've written, but it's not just about us. That's the mistake. That's the dark side of it. When you just think it's all about you, it's like, no, it's not. This is about a shared community.
It is. It is. And when you can support that community, it comes back and is supportive of you. So like for me to, I do a lot of things that I put out, kind of into the world. I don't get paid to do a lot of these things. Like we don't get paid to do our podcast. I don't get paid to do the blogging that I do or what, I get paid to speak at events and things. So there is a paid component, but you put that positive energy out. And
Yes.
I am a strong believer in that there's a karma thing, and that comes back to lift you up when you need it to. So
Yep.
I'm all about that. That's a great theme too, the connectivity theme. I love that.
Yep. Do the thing that scares you and connect. Do the thing that scares you once a day and connect with other writers.
Well, and sometimes it's weird because what scares you one day isn't what scares you a different day. Like there's days we have varying energy, like, and the days that you have to do outreach, like maybe you're not in the right, frame of mind to like pick up the phone to call, for send media, inquiries out, or I don't know. It's just,
Or teach a class, you have to teach a class that night, or you have to go on stage and, and you're like, you're tired. Maybe you've driven a long way. Maybe you've had some, I don't know, issues at home. You got to just dig deep and do it, because
That's
people
right.
count on you and you promise them and you want to make sure you deliver a nice product that they are satisfied with.
Right. And I think too, I also like it when people are real, right? Are real. And I talk a lot about Hank Philippi Ryan, but Hank Philippi Ryan is very honest out in her social media, whatever. If something goes wrong, she doesn't ignore that. Like what's fun is that it doesn't matter what level of writing you're at. If like people are being like honest about the difficulties, but also celebrating, the really good things, is you've got a really great, group of people around us who will do that with us. They will commiserate when things don't go well. And they'll like, I'm so sorry that happened to your manuscript, or whatever. Or they're also right there willing to celebrate with you because they get you and they know you're like a real person. You're not like just like glossy all the time, right?
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
You know what I mean?
No, I think that's true. I think that's true. You find your group, you find your tribe, so to speak, and then, you move forward together. Because I mean, you and Carrie, I mean, you guys, you guys picked me. There was one day when I said, okay, I'm done. And then everything changed the next. And you guys know what I'm talking about. It was a long time ago, but you pulled me through. I almost quit my master's degree once. I got a master's from Mount Mary, wonderful experience. But there was a 2-week window when I almost quit. It was a 2.5 year program, and there was a 2-week window. This happens to everybody, right? And I was like, okay, I can't drive there. I got so much going on, blah, 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 this, that, and the other thing. And I had a friend call me every day. She called me every day
Keep you
that
from
and
quitting.
said, you'll be fine. Get in the car and go to class. Believe me, it'll be worth it. And it was, but it was a 2-week window where she pulled me through. I wasn't doing the pulling, she was, and it all worked out. So, when that's what you need the other writers for, right? When you're
Well,
thinking, okay, I can't do it, you call up another writer and say, I'm on the edge. And then the
yeah.
other writer has your back and says, it's a fine, go for a walk. Call me tomorrow,
Well,
or I'll call you.
and that other writer also is to block you from the fire pit or the
Right.
fireplace from like just throwing the sum total of your work away.
Exactly. Yes, exactly.
Like
If you
Stephen
hate
King's
it,
wife, right? You know
yes.
that story.
What?
Stephen King, he was so disgusted with, his rejections. I want to say the manuscript was Carrie, and that's
It was
back when,
Carrie.
there's no electronic file, right? It's just carbon. And he
Yeah.
threw it, all the copies, maybe there was only one copy, I don't know, but he threw it in the garbage and his wife retrieved it.
Yeah.
And of course, later he went on to sell it. So everybody
Right.
needs somebody willing to, stop you from doing the thing, the dangerous thing when you're at your low point.
Exactly. I went to the New York pitch, and it was hard, but worth it. I highly recommend the New York pitch. It's not easy. I came home from that with the manuscript that I was pitching, and that one went in a drawer, and it's still in a drawer. However, I went on to write 3 cozy mysteries and pitch them, and screenplays, and successfully pitching those, and children's books, successfully pitching those. So it was worth it. And that manuscript wasn't ready at the time for what I wanted to do, but that's not to say I won't go back now that I have this experience and make it
Right.
better.
Well, and you probably, with fresh eyes, you will see the things that you need to rewrite.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, even now, so I just started writing the fourth book in my Circle of Nine series. I had to read through, quickly just different scenes from the other three books just to get my bearings again on my characters and what I was going to do. And I was like, oh, I need to rewrite that first book. I mean, it's not my highest priority, but
Yeah.
I can see how I've become a better writer, and
Yep.
it needs a thorough edit. I think we'll call it a thorough. I just look at paragraphs and I'm like, there is such a much faster way to say that, like, get to the point, girl,
Yeah. Isn't that, we should do a podcast about that. What authors want to go back to one of their very first books and edit it.
Well, and
Because,
there's pros and cons on that, right?
yeah,
Like, should you spend the time? Should you not spend the
right.
time?
Should you? Right. Exactly.
Oh, yeah, but that one's out in the world, so I'll have to think long and hard about how much I change.
Exactly.
I don't want to change like actual like plot points, but I think there's some things I could clean up. So,
Well,
live
think about
learn.
where you are now.
Yeah,
It was all worth it. The journey was worth it.
I think it was. I think it was, and I know you think it was too. I mean, we've lived it. So hopefully this is helpful for people to hear this discussion about, that yes, we're acknowledging it's hard, but there have been so many high points.
Yeah.
Truly, so many things have outweighed any of the glitches or the bad days in this whole like launch process.
Exactly. And
So
the bad days
cheers,
will come. The
cheers
bad
to
days will
you.
come. But again, you have to just push through it.
And yeah, and it's always fun to know others that are on the journey at the same time, because if you do need just a little like, support one day, like, oh my God, my whole thing just crashed, and then whatever. Bad things happen, but if you can take a deep breath, go pull some weeds, whatever.
Pull some weeds, send an email.
Call
Tell
a
us.
writer friend.
Add a comment to this podcast, and and we'll go, yeah, we're with you.
Yes, I wish people would add a comment. I mean, if a funny thing happened on your way to the bookshelf, the publishing journey, we would love to hear from you. So please put your stories in the comments. We would love to hear, and we will answer back.
Yep.
We promise to answer back. So, okay, next time we will see everyone again in December, and that will be our final podcast, of course, for the year. And we're going to talk about high points and then good gifts for writers. Yay.
Good gifts for writers. And in fact, today we're taping this on Veterans Day, and I am going out, speaking of good gifts, I'm going out to the little free library near the VFW near me and putting in all 3 books signed.
I think that's fun to do. My son puts my books into his little free library on his front lawn in Des Moines, Iowa. And he's like, funny, they don't come back. People keep them. And I'm like, that's awesome. Here's some more, I love
Right.
little free libraries. So yay for little free libraries. I think they're awesome. Well, thanks for everyone for joining us. Check the show notes if you want to learn about Green Acres. And I'll also link to some other launch, resources in the show notes. See you later.